Now the big scary video. This one's going to be about the trauma that's led to my PTSD. So if you're not feeling safe at the moment, even though I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, maybe click away and come back another time. Let's see. Little notes. Other than anything specifically related to school, none of this is going to be in chronological order, mainly to avoid naming names and perhaps getting the attention of people I don't want to know that I still exist. So in no particular order, as some of you know, I am on the autism spectrum. I am diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome and I have Tourette syndrome. I don't know if I've ticked in a video recently, but my ticks sound like and if you don't know what they are, they can be really annoying. Both of these have caused alienation. The latter even caused some alienation from my family until they really got used to it and understood what was going on. I've been homeless. I was homeless from about mid-1999 until probably about 2003. I was pinging from accommodation to accommodation. I even actually spent a night on the streets. Slept in a park. A couple of friends actually, because they objected to the fact that I couldn't find somewhere safe, to make sure that nothing happened to me, they slept in the park with me. It was not a pleasant night, but I think it would have been a hell of a lot worse had it not been for those two wonderful people who I'm not naming for other reasons. The one that I'm still in contact knows who they are, and if you see this video, know that I am still extremely grateful for that massive act of kindness. I have been sexually assaulted. I have been in a situation since then where I was very nearly sexually assaulted. During school, mostly later primary school, I was bullied by somebody I now believe to possibly have been a sociopath. That bullying led to physical assault. The incidents I remember, one particular time he kicked me in the head, another time he kicked me in the groin region, which, guys, I know it probably hurts more for you, but it still hurts for us. And the only other incident I remember, remember's a vague, not an accurate term here. I know this because of my mother telling me about it, but there was an incident where he actually, because he followed me to first high school I went to, he slammed me into a row of lockers. And I also remember him walking past me in the corridor where our year levels lockers were one time, shoving past, hitting my shoulder and saying, "Hello, bitch." The school didn't take this very seriously, but I knew from experience that this was a threat. My mother also talks about taking me up to the school to get some things from my locker once when I was ill, and students hanging out of classroom doors and windows verbally abusing me. I have no memory of this, and I am eternally grateful for this fact, but I honestly believe it's had negative effects on my mental health anyway. And now the really big scary bit. Over the years, my mother has kept saying, I think she's on the autism spectrum. I think she's on the autism spectrum. Could she be on the autism spectrum? What about the autism spectrum? And no one's listened. I've had a diagnosis of ADHD. I was put on dexamphetamines. Now, one of my autism-related symptoms is sensory integration disorder, which means, imagine your senses are turned up to about 12, and you've got a migraine and a hangover. That's what my senses are like most of the time. Loud noises physically hurt. Sunlight is often like having acid poured into my eyes. Certain textures, whether it be food or clothing, drives me nuts. Putting me on what is essentially speed made that a whole lot worse. It turned it up to 20. My best friend talks about an incident where we were going to class and I started wandering off in the opposite direction, and she said to me, "Hey, where are you going?" And I turned around, looked at her completely deadpan and said, "I'm going to kill myself." I remember her confiscating every pair of scissors I had in my pencil case, which was 5 or 6 pairs. There was an incident also related to the dexamphetamine. I'm going to regret talking about this, but I was standing in the school canteen and I just urinated on the floor. I have no memory of this at all, but the sources are reliable. I was much later diagnosed as bipolar. Again, wrong. I was put on valproate, which I'd had reservations about. The side effects are not great, especially if it's not monitored. See how short my hair is? A large reason for that is because of the damage done by the drug. But the psychiatrist I was seeing at psych services at the time wouldn't listen. She said, and this is a direct quote, "For bipolar, I prescribe." Well, hate to tell you, woman, I'm not bipolar. There's been other incidences. I was put in a adolescent psych ward when I was in my teens. They were supposed to be assessing me, supporting me. I spent about 4 months there and they did next to nothing, other than my strongest memory there is one of the things that I do, which is actually pretty normal, I understand, is read when I can't sleep. Apparently, that's not okay with them. They actually held me down on my bed and confiscated my books. Now, it wasn't like I was disturbing anyone. We had individual rooms, but I wasn't allowed to read. I had to be asleep, even though I couldn't sleep. I've had a lot of... I was put in a psychiatric ward in my 20s, and again that was a disaster. Nothing they did helped, and basically just did more harm. I have had the other incident which Psych Services is involved in was I'm on a lot of medication. The term is polypharmacy. I went to a different doctor just to get a second opinion on my medication, and she called psychiatric services without my consent. They gave her completely inaccurate information, never mentioned that I hadn't seen them in years, and resulted in her being absolutely obnoxious to the point where I just got up and left. I have a condition called Meniere's disease. It's the part of, in my case, this ear that that gives the brain messages related to balance is damaged, and it sends incorrect messages, so I often get very dizzy, sometimes to the point where I haven't actually fallen over. I'm lucky enough I get warning symptoms, but some people do just suddenly fall over. So this is a condition that hadn't been an issue when I'd last seen Psych Services at all. They told her I had drop fits. I don't have drop fits. I've had poor treatment by the emergency department of the local hospital when I've gone for help with migraines. I'm treated like a drug seeker. I'm often made to wait in a glary waiting room with a migraine, and because I can cope with that to a certain extent, they then decide I don't really have a migraine, which shows that they really don't understand migraine at all. So, yeah, every time I turn around it feels like somebody's throwing more shit on the pile. And it's been rough, and I find trust very difficult. I find people scary. I find unknown situations terrifying. And as I mentioned in yesterday's video, mental health thoughts, I have panic attacks sometimes. So yeah, I think that's a reasonable summary of my PTSD related history. So hopefully that helps. Any questions, pants region, and I shall do my best to answer them. Bye.